This is 17-year-old Javarcy Tapley, who murdered his cousin Caleb Short. However, he didn't stop there. He also killed Caleb's mother, Gloria Short, and his 10-year-old niece, Gianna. But why would he kill his own family? This discovery was made on January 4th, 2016, when Caleb's father, Robert Short, came home from work and was met with a horrifying scene. His entire family was lying dead in a pool of blood.
Please send someone, please. I want to kill my family.
Someone killed your family?
Somebody killed my came home, my family's dead.
When the detectives brought Javarcy into the interrogation room, they confronted a very stubborn suspect who was continuously trying to outsmart them.
You want to kill an innocent child?
No, sir, I would not.
A person like you want to kill a grandmother?
No.
Javarcy Tapley is a 17-year-old who grew up together with his cousin Caleb Short and his family in Upatoy, Georgia. But unknown to the others, jealousy was building up inside Javarcy's heart, and this jealousy would soon destroy the happiness of the entire family. On January 4th, 2016, after the tragic 911 call, officers arrived at the scene only to witness that the house had become a place of horror. But despite the grim circumstances, the officers pushed forward and interviewed a heartbroken Robert.
So I went in. My wife was laying in the hallway, face down. And stuff was scattered everywhere. And I checked the pulse and no pulse.
Now, when you say you check the pulse, where do you check a pulse at? Carotid order.
And I saw my granddaughter laying in the living room, face up. And I checked her pulse and she was cold. And I started running through the house looking for my son, calling his name. He wasn't in his room. So I ran back out into my room and found him in my bedroom closet, tied up.
Take your time.
I didn't check the house no further than I came back out and then went back in and checked him again.
So you say you came back out?
I came back out to my wife and then went back and checked on him and I couldn't get to wake up. Then I started trying to call 911. I haven't taken me a couple of minutes to call 911 because I was also...
Now, with your son, did you check his pulse also?
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that your granddaughter, you checked her pulse.
Yeah.
When the detectives couldn't find any useful information from Robert, they started digging into Caleb's close contacts. They searched through Caleb's phone, and the last person he had contacted was his cousin, Javarcy Tapley. The entire Short family was butchered brutally, and the murder scene was disturbing enough to unnerve even the most hardened officers. Adding to the unnerving circumstances, there was no CCTV footage or any witness to the crime. The only lead the detectives managed to secure was Caleb's contact list and the one name that stood out. With that, they brought in Javarcy as their primary suspect, since he was the last one to call Caleb.
First of all, I want to thank you, for, coming down, cooperating with us and, willing to help us with what's been going on. We just want to try to, meet with some of the family members, just want to see what information that they have or anything that they knew. Tell me about Caleb. Who is he to you, first of all?
My cousin.
What type of kid was Caleb?
Caleb, now, his mouth can be a little, but Caleb was the sweetest kid you'll ever meet, sir. The sweetest kid.
Okay, he was real sweet.
He'll never harm anybody else. Of course, everybody talk a little smack every now and then. I do it myself. I'm pretty sure you do it from time to time, but other than that, Caleb didn't have no problems with anybody, not that I know of. Basically, I was his only kind of brother figure in his life.
Right.
And he was kind of only mine because me and him used to go on vacations and I went out there with stuff like that. Like I was telling him, I didn't know too much about Caleb's social life. All I knew is when I come out there, it would just be me, him, and his friends.
Right.
So like with your homeboys at high school, y'all sit around, joke around, play basketball, talk about girls and stuff like that. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Right.
Although detectives let him go, they had a hunch that Javarcy was hiding something behind his friendly face. They would soon find out that their suspicions about him were correct. 2 cars were stolen from Caleb's residence during the incident. Detectives managed to track the GPS of one of the vehicles that led them to Oakland Park. Both of the vehicles were found at the same place. Using luminol, bloodstains were identified in the car, and detectives carefully collected DNA samples and fingerprints from both the interior and exterior of the vehicle as part of their investigation. After the news broke about the stolen cars being found, the police received an unexpected call from a woman indicating that her son, Raheem Gibson, might be involved in the theft of the vehicles that were found in Oakland Park.
He said that he was with a friend. What's the friend's name?
All I know is
Weta?
and Weeda and some other boy. I don't know the boy name. Wheat, huh? Weeda. Weeda.
And he said they went to the house and
I don't know what house. They came in with some stuff.
Where's the stuff?
That boy came back driving the car, my child did.
okay.
Whatever they find in Oakland Park.
Following the lead, detectives brought in Raheem Gibson, who would later become the key to solving the entire case.
So here we are, we're at the house. Does he give you a plan, or what's Weta telling you? Does he give you a role?
No, he just says he ain't gonna tell who I am when he first comes to the door, so y'all just stand on the side.
Okay. But backing up, what did you say you saw in the driveway?
Basketball goal.
Okay, basketball. Was there any vehicles in the driveway at this time?
Yes.
Okay. What vehicle was in the driveway?
The truck.
Okay, when you say truck, do you know what color the truck was?
Black.
Okay. Truck as in like it had an open part in the back or an SUV?
SUV.
Okay.
Closed.
Okay.
Detectives seem to have a breakthrough, but the real hurdle is about to begin. They would soon hit a roadblock while trying to get Javarsi to confess.
That you might have had something to do with it.
Yes, sir.
What you know about that?
Nothing. I mean, why would I do something like that? I told you my whereabouts. My grandma can tell you my whereabouts where I was. Why would I have anything to do with my own cousin?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. I mean, we just have to, if people
Yeah,
tell
go
us
over
something,
it, yeah.
we just have to check into it.
Yeah, I understand that. I would never have something to do with it. Knowing all these years I've been knowing him, never even crossed my mind to do something like that, have anything to do with something like that. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No. I just can't. I didn't do that. I promise you that.
Because man, this was a terrible incident. Nobody deserved that.
They really didn't.
And nobody deserved that. So, you got a child, teenager,
And a grandmother
And a
slash
grandmother.
mother.
mm-hmm.
Like I was saying. I don't even see myself even being in no situation like that.
And what's that?
Because I'm not that type of person,
What type of person is that?
A cold-hearted person.
Cold-hearted person.
Yeah. I don't see myself hurting anyone.
You never gotten upset and want to hurt somebody?
No, sir. Well, everybody got upset.
Uh-huh.
Can't even lie about that.
Yeah.
As far as getting upset
Mm-hmm.
and going off and stuff like that, I don't.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Why would people be saying, what if I told you, why all these people would be saying that you had something to do with it?
Probably because Caleb was my cousin, and they saw, when me and Caleb was together or something like that at the mall, they saw me and him together. So they figured if he always with Caleb, he probably know who Caleb had beef with, who Caleb all let come to the house, who Caleb hung out with, who Caleb did this with, who Caleb did that with. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, but stuff like that, no. I don't know who he had beef with or anything like that.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. I'm positive.
So you don't know nothing about this incident at all?
No, sir.
You ain't heard anything about it at all?
No, sir. As far as my grandma saying what she said and stuff like that.
And what she said again?
She had said that she think it was somebody in the family or something like that. And that dude on the corner at that store, and he told us he see like the same thing. And I was thinking to myself, it can't be, because everybody in Caleb's family is too sweet like that. And nobody on our side of the family even met that side with my grandfather. his side of the family with Caleb now. So that's why I was like, no. Y'all can't be right.
In his second interrogation, Javarsi plays mind games, trying his best to showcase his love and affection for his cousin and extended family. However, the detective knows the true nature of his heart.
I understand y'all want to know who did this and all, but as far as information, I honestly don't know. With the swab and all that, I said, I didn't see no point of doing it. Like I just told that detective right there. I said, you find anything the same day, you got my grandmother's number, you know where she live at, I'll come in and do everything.
What you mean by that? I mean, you gotta clarify for me.
I mean, as far as me not being out there since June, there's no even way of point. And for...
What do you mean find anything? What you talking about?
He said something like, if he come across anything in the next 2 or 3 months, he just want to make sure I'm out the way. But like I said, you got my grandmother's number, you got my number, you got the address. Not going nowhere. I'm there. I go to Spencer High School. I'm there. You call her, ask her. And like I said, I told y'all I'll think about it, but I just didn't see no point in doing that. But yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it. You know, we had to ask you. Just support of the process, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I want to say this to you again. You hear anything, or you remember something that you may not remember tonight,
give y'all a call.
Give us a call.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let me go check on some stuff. See about getting you out of here, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming down, okay?
Can you please take me home now? I'm sleepy as a dog, man.
Give me a few minutes, okay? I'll get you home, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The detective is pushing him to admit his guilt, but he lies through his teeth without any remorse. He even challenges the detectives and refuses to take DNA tests. But his struggle to keep his secret buried was soon about to fall apart.
I just get a vibe about you, and you know, if something just keep telling me that things not adding up here, man. I don't think you're being truthful with me.
I'm being 100% truthful with you.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are. You know, I've been doing this, you know, for some time now, speaking with people, and some things you telling me, it don't make any, it's not adding up. It's not jiving.
Well, I'm telling you what I know, and from what I have done with Caleb, and as far as being around him and stuff like that.
Well, I think you know more than what you're telling me.
I honestly don't.
I do. And deep down inside, you may know why I feel that way.
Not really. As far as you asked me what my whereabouts were, I told you. My grandma could vouch for me.
Is there anything you want to get off your mind? Anything you want to get off your chest?
No, sir.
Anything you want to get off your heart?
No, sir. Sitting here looking you eye to eye as a man.
As a man.
I don't have nothing to hide. I mean, like, if you don't believe me or whatever, I mean, that's just how you feel.
Okay.
Eye to eye. There's nothing I know about this. Nothing.
So a person like you want to do that?
No, sir. Never, ever. Couldn't harm nobody.
Person like you want to kill an innocent child?
No, sir, I would not.
Person like you want to kill a grandmother?
No.
A caring person like Miss Gloria?
No.
Person like you want to kill Caleb?
No. Been straightforward with you since the first moment I walked in here.
It's about 100% clear now that Javarsi is truly a pathological liar. At this point, it's quite shocking to see that he still shows no trace of remorse. This attitude strongly hints at sociopathic tendencies. He knows that his lies are caught, but even then, he keeps on provoking the detectives.
We had some people down there talking to your grandmama. Is there any reason why they would tell us that you and Caleb were kind of like video game buddies?
We never had the same systems.
Well, I'm just asking because that's what they were telling us, which made me kind of wonder. Because you were telling me y'all weren't that close and you don't really know much about him. So you don't play no games with him online or nothing
No,
like
sir.
that? I know Detective Malone here told you what he thought about it, and I ain't gonna lie to you, man.
I understand. If I knew anything, I would tell y'all. But as far as like video game buddies and stuff like that, no. I don't play any games. I don't own any games. Last game I owned was right before I lost my last job. Was working at Waffle House. I worked at Little Caesars before that, and I barely can afford to make payments on that, so I took that back.
I think you know more than you're telling me.
Which I don't.
I'm just telling. I'm being honest
Yeah, I
with you. I ain't
understand
lied
your-
to
I
you since I
understand
come
your
through this front door with you. But
I
I'm just
understand.
there's something in me telling me that you can help me out, and I don't know why you're holding back.
I'm not holding back. I promise
Well,
you I'm not.
I'm being honest
Yeah,
with
same thing I told him.
you. You know, I don't.
That's
I
all
don't. My
okay.
job is not to bull people, and there's just something. Everything you're saying to me, it's like you want to dance around everything, and I don't get that because it's your cousin. It's not
Yeah,
my
I
cousin.
understand. I'm telling you what I know. From my family members to theirs, they know I don't have much contact with Caleb.
All right.
Caleb don't tell me anything. I don't do anything with him. Like as far as video games or anything.
But you say you tell me if you did, right?
Yes, sir, I would.
He's clearly trying his best to prove his emotional and mental distance from Caleb, but little does he know that the detectives have already secured enough evidence to send him to jail. Moreover, his friend Raheem has already confessed to his own involvement in the burglary and implicated Javarsi in the brutal murder of his family.
Okay, so now you guys are at the front door, and he tells you what again?
To go inside the house because he's not going to come out if you see 3 people.
Okay.
behind us.
And so you and Quez are waiting at the side of the house. What are you guys talking about when you're on the side of the house? Seriously, I mean, you're probably like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me in your own words. What did he say to you?
I said, what are we doing? He said, just be quiet and wait for him. And I was like, okay. Then when he came to the door, he snatched him, and I just...
Well, I mean, you say snatch. Just tell me, like, real simple terms. Did you see him put his hands on him?
No. I just guess he snatched him because when I did see, when I heard it, I came around the corner.
Okay, now is the front door closed when you come around the front?
I don't... I never came. I came to the front of the corner.
Okay. I understand.
And then I looked. He had him in the front of the yard on the ground.
And so so when you say he's on the ground, who's on the ground?
Javarsi and Caleb.
Okay, are they fighting?
No, he was just holding him on the ground.
Okay, who's on top?
Javarsi.
Okay, so Javarsier is physically just holding down, or has he got his knees on him, or how would you describe it?
Got it. Holding his hands on
Okay.
Holding his hands behind him.
Okay, is he asking you to help him, or how does that work?
He asked me to help him. I said, if no.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stood in the bush and I sat down. Then the other boy helped him. They tied him up. I started shaking.
Okay. When you say tie him up, I think rope, but what did they tie him up with?
Tape.
Okay. There's all kinds of tape. What color was the tape?
I guess duct tape because it was gray.
Okay, so you're saying duct tape because it's gray or silver. Would you say silver or gray?
Yeah.
Gray, silver, but it's shiny. Okay. When he ties him up, what hands or what part? Can you show me?
Tied him up like this.
Okay. So his hands are like this?
No, like this.
Okay, like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other tape, or he just tapes them all the way around like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's he saying to him at this time?
He just kept on saying,
Caleb is saying this?
No.
Or, okay.
Javarsi kept
Okay.
saying,
Well, what's Caleb saying? He's got to be saying...
And he was just like, why? You better be playing. You better be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was sitting in bushes, I seen him walk past with him.
Okay. Now, is he dragging Caleb, or, I mean...
He's walking him.
Okay, he's walking him. Okay. And what's he saying to him?
But telling him to be quiet.
Okay.
Javarsi had murdered the entire Short family and tried to stage the perfect burglary. However, his evil plan was doomed to fail, as Rahim would soon reveal exactly how and when Javarsi devised his sinister scheme.
Guida and him, they go inside the house.
And
Quez, okay. And you stay outside. Did they tell you stay here, be the lookout, or why do you stay outside?
I didn't want anything to do with that.
Okay. Did they ask you to come in?
Yeah, they kept on telling me come on. I kept on saying I don't want nothing to do with it. That's not what I came here for.
Okay. If I had to ask you what you did go there for, what would you say?
He said to go see what he got for Christmas.
Okay. So you're in the bushes. Do you see anybody drive by?
No.
Okay, so you don't see any lights or anything.
No.
Okay. How long were they inside the house for?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Okay. What do you hear? You hear any noises?
Mm-mm.
You don't hear anybody screaming?
No.
You don't hear anything? Okay. So 30 minutes, and then what's the next thing someone contacts you? What happens?
Quez came, he said, come on for the girl. I said, what y'all do? He didn't say nothing. And then when I was getting in the car, Javarsi came out. He said he'll be right behind us. He could get more stuff.
Okay. Okay, so now you walk to the garage, correct? Okay, now how do you know to be the driver or the passenger?
I wasn't gonna be the driver.
Okay.
Eggs, but I was the passenger.
Okay, and I'm not trying to put words, but I mean, are you helping them put things in the trunk or?
No, everything was already in when I came.
Okay, so everything was already in. Okay, what did you see that was in the vehicle?
Boxes of shoes.
Okay, do you know any brand names of shoes or?
Jordans.
Any other
Nikes.
Nikes? What else? TVs, PlayStations?
No, I didn't see nothing.
No TVs.
No.
So they were there just to get, was it jewelry, clothing?
Only thing I seen was shoes.
Okay, shoes, okay. When you're looking at the garage, and it's a double car garage, is the vehicle on the left side or the right side or in the middle?
The middle.
The middle? Okay. And when you come around, you get in the passenger seat. Is Quez already in there, or you just sit in the car?
We getting in at the same time.
Okay, getting in at the same time. And you say the boxes are in the back seat, or is there a trunk? I'm not familiar.
Back seat.
Okay, back seat. Okay. And how many boxes of shoes would you say?
6.
Okay.
7. 6 or 7.
Okay.
It's important to note that Quez is actually a nickname for Rufus Leonard Burks, one of Javarsi's friends. And now, the detectives are finally getting a clearer picture of where Rahim, Javarsi, and Rufus were on the day of the incident. Unlike Javarsi, Rahim isn't making things difficult for them, at least for now. But that cooperation is not going to last much longer.
So everything you think that was taken was in the VW Beetle? Okay. Why do you think Rita didn't leave with you?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just asking. Can you guess why?
He told us he was getting more stuff. But
He said he was getting more stuff?
But when later that night when I asked what did he stay for and get, he said, don't worry about any stuff.
Okay, so you guys leave, and Wida is still there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the door open from the garage in? Can you see anything?
No.
Okay.
I just seen the light was on.
Okay, the light was on. Can you describe any of the noises?
I didn't hear no noise.
Okay, did anybody yell, scream, anything break?
No.
Okay. Okay, so you guys back out, and Quez is driving, and tell me again, where do you go?
The same way we came.
The same exact route. Past the airplane place, past DMV. Okay. And then KFC, that way back. Now, who tells you, or why do you guys go to your final resting spot? You don't go to your house, correct?
No.
Okay, so where do you go?
He called Quez, and then he drove to Rigdon Park.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with Rigdon Park?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why? Do you know why that area? Okay. So you drive to Rigdon Park.
I didn't drive.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You arrive there and as a passenger, and so you're just sitting there?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long do you think you sit there?
30 minutes.
Okay.
30 minutes.
Does anybody call you, or do you call anybody?
No, Quez.
Quez is on his phone again.
No, he called Quez and tell him he was on his way.
Okay.
Then he finally came and told us to leave.
Okay, and so how do you leave that Rigdon Park?
We go out the main entrance and just turn out and just walk down the long road.
There are still gaps in the story that the detective needs to piece together as clearly as possible. What happened after they left the car in Rigdon Park still remains a mystery. Without these small but crucial details, the case remains a challenging puzzle for the detectives.
Okay, so you don't really, as soon as you leave the park, you turn left and go straight towards South Lumpkin Road?
Yeah.
Okay, you just go straight up. Why is he still in the vehicle, and why does it make you guys walk?
He said he's gonna take it somewhere else.
He didn't offer to drop you off?
No.
You didn't ask
I
him?
wasn't gonna get back.
You weren't gonna,
No.
okay. When's the last time you see Quez?
We all walked together to watch his grandma's house.
Okay, so you stayed on Calhoun?
Yeah.
Okay, and is that where you sleep that night?
Most of the night, then I walked to my grandmother's house.
What time do you think you walked to your grandmother's house?
1 a.m.
Weeda, when's he come back?
He came back the same when we all went to his grandmother's house.
Okay, you guys walked from Rigdon Park, correct? And you walked straight there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and but Weeda drive somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
But he was already there when we got there.
Oh, so he beat you back.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And his grandmother lives on Calhoun Road. He lives with his grandmother. Okay. You have any idea what time that is, or?
11, 12.
Okay. Okay. The shoes are in the Beetle. When did the shoes leave the Beetle?
He had him there at his grandmother's house because they switched them. They switched it out the cars when we met at Rigdon Park.
Okay, so when he arrives at Rigdon Park, you're still there. You guys load up
Yeah.
the SUV, and then you walk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where are the shoes now?
In the truck.
In the truck. Okay.
And he says he's gonna ditch the car.
Okay, so he never brings the shoes back to his grandmother's house?
He did. I don't know
When did you see the shoes at the grandmother's house?
when we got there.
Okay. Okay, so you last saw the shoes technically in the VW, get put in the SUV, and then you walk to Calhoun, but he's already there with the shoes
Mm-hmm.
and no SUV.
No, it's
Okay. And then do you guys sit around, talk? Do they smoke? Well, what do they do?
just smoke.
What's he talk about?
Mm,
Did he tell you what happened inside?
no.
You don't get into what?
I kept asking what he did, why he stayed. And he just said, be quiet, mind your business.
Raheem and Rufus walked straight from Rigdon Park to Javarsi's grandmother's house in Calhoun. But when they reached, Javarsi was already there, having abandoned the SUV. Clearly, Raheem's statement about leaving Caleb's house and reaching his grandmother's house contains a significant time discrepancy. Javarsi texts Raheem around 12 p.m. Roughly, after 2 hours, they meet at Javarsi's grandmother's house. At around 5 p.m., they meet Rufus. Then, at about 5:30, they're at Caleb's house. Raheem and Rufus then leave in the SUV. Later, Raheem and Quez come back to Javarsi's grandmother's house around 11 or 12 p.m. But when they arrived at Javarsi's grandmother's house, the SUV was nowhere to be found, and the shoe boxes had already been unloaded. So, the question remained, how did Javarsi manage to ditch the SUV and the other car so quickly, reaching his grandmother's house faster than his friends? Unfortunately, Javarsi and Rufus still refused to provide the missing details, keeping much of the story unrevealed. On January 12, 2016, Javarsi was arrested based on the evidence gathered from his grandma's house. It's regrettable to see that all three of the perpetrators of this case were juveniles. In 2018, Javarsi Tapley was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Raheem Gibson was sentenced to 30 years in prison, and Rufus Burks was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences.
When was the last time you talked to Pete?
Last night before he dropped me off.
Well, we found Pete this morning. He's been killed.
What? What?
This is 28-year-old Cameron Scott Halliburton, also known as Fish. We can see that he's bawling his eyes out to hear his best friend, Jared Klein, die, but at this very moment, things were about to get worse.
It's just a picture of a picture. We've looked at it, we've blown it up.
The CCTV puts Cameron right near the crime scene, making him the last person to be with Jared, and also a prime suspect.
Were they saying I'm a suspect or something?
Well, it's looking that way.
I'm going to kill my best friend.
We don't think you would do it intentionally.
I didn't do it at all.
Can I see your jacket here?
I would say that's blood.
The clues are evident, but the answer is yet to be unveiled. Was Cameron feigning innocence, or had he just realized that a sinister secret was on the verge of being exposed? In the early hours of November 26, 2017, Texarkana police responded to a 911 call reporting a single vehicle accident. They arrived to find 27-year-old Jared Klein strapped in the driver's seat of his Chevrolet Colorado truck, which was parked against a tree with the keys missing. But what made the scene truly horrifying were the numerous stab wounds to his face, neck, and chest, along with a pool of blood spreading beneath him. Here's the actual footage of the officers at the scene.
You got a gunshot wound? I can't tell. His chest is wet. His shirt is. Dang, okay. Man. Where's the recruit at? Do you see a gun or anything? Some blood splatter or something?
There's not any blood on the back.
It appeared to be a deadly assault from an angry enemy, as Jared was stabbed for a total of 10 times. But there was just one piece of critical evidence for the police. They found a receipt and his cell phone inside the car. However, their first step was to review CCTV footage from a nearby Family Dollar store, hoping to piece together the timeline of the crash. But what they hadn't expected was for the footage to reveal much more than the timeline of events. What they witnessed was the out-of-control car running at full speed and barely passing by the shop. But along with that, they noticed a man, visibly intoxicated, approaching the shop right after the car passed by. And to make things even easier for the officers, they managed to get clear footage of the unknown person's face. Next, the police turned their attention to the other items found at Jared's car. Luck was on their side when they examined his phone and discovered something crucial: the call log. They dialed the most recent number, reaching Jared's friend, DeQueener Mitchell, and that's where they found the information they needed. Mitchell informed the police that she, Jared, James Cherry, and another man known as Fishman had gone to the Flying J to panhandle. When the police showed her the CCTV footage, she immediately confirmed that the man in the clip was indeed the Fishman. With that revelation, the police finally had the key lead they needed to crack the case wide open. When officers arrived at the location where Fishman was supposed to be staying, he was nowhere in sight. However, they uncovered his identity, 28-year-old Cameron Scott Halliburton. Not long after, they located him, finding him not in any residence, but asleep beside a dumpster. At first, Cameron seemed calm and collected during the interrogation, but he had no idea his world was about to turn upside down as the events of that bad night came to light one by one.
You spent the night at Harold's house?
Okay, yeah. Spent the night at Harold's house. I got up Saturday, went by Andrews.
That's where we just were, right?
Yeah, that's the Main Street Apartments. Not quite sure where he was. And then he and Jared and Gotti popped out of nowhere, knocking on the door. I was like, hey.
At Andrews?
Yeah, at Andrews. And rode around with them. We go and eat at little friendship centers and stuff. So we dropped Gotti and Melissa back off. He had left me and went and picked up Shane. It's Shane Anderson. I hung out with Andrew for a little bit. Pete came back, got us. Then we went and picked up TT and Cherry.
Who's TT?
that is the little black girl that was earlier with Andrew. That's her girlfriend.
Okay.
Some unfamiliar names are emerging, but rest assured, they hold no relevance to the case. They're simply acquaintances of Cameron with no connection to the story.
When I say Pete, if you hear me say Petey, I'm talking about Jared.
It's Jared. That's like
Jared.
people call him in school and stuff.
Petey, yeah. And everybody still calls me Fish. I'm like, well, if I'm Fish, you're Petey still. So.
So you went out there. What happened out there?
Did some panhandling. Came back into town. We hung out at Cleaning's house till maybe about midnight, I'll say. And we got a call from Duck. And Duck wanted to go to Mr. D's. So I was like, well, I ain't never been to Mr. D's, but he wasn't trying to pay nobody's way in. I was like, well, all right, anyway, let's go.
Cameron's claim about visiting Mr. D's checked out, as officers verified it with CCTV footage showing him there. However, when it came to the rest of his story, the truth remained uncertain, and only time would reveal how much of it was real.
I mean, I've dabbled with it. It's not my cup of tea, brother. Like I said, I like to smoke.
What does that do to you? Like synthetic and stuff, what does it do to you? Mess you up pretty bad?
Not really. I mean, to me, it's not for everybody, but to me, I just get I get a regular high off of it. It gives me a little bit of cotton.
You don't drink or anything last night?
I'm not a drinker.
Any pills or anything like that?
That synthetic, I started smoking it about 7 or 8 years ago.
That long?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've like I said, I just recently picked it back up, but I started about 7 or 8 years ago, and it actually made me quit drinking the rum I was drinking. I can't drink beer. Got to where I couldn't drink soda pops for the longest. Carbonation would just jack my stomach up. I did a lot of juice and stuff like that. All my machetes are in the back of Pete's truck. My tote of clothes. I mean, that's literally all my clothes. I got to get those. And what are they doing in his truck? He's my roommate. We're just supposed to take. Where your room at? 2022 Allen Lane, but we don't have no water.
Is that kind of abandoned house?
See, and you know about it. And I moved in telling Dwayne that, hey, you said you had some electrical problems, I'll come fix some work, give me a spot to stay. I had an apartment was supposed to come through. Me and Dwayne got into it, and he's actually like a big, swole, buff penitentiary. I think he's actually in jail right now. And,
Dwayne?
Yeah, and he scared the hell out of me one night, and I kind of went a little ham in the paint on him, which he roughed me up first, but he's the one that called the cops. And the only reason I stayed is because I felt like, man, my head was all swollen. I'm like, hey, I'm self-defense, brother, He told me I'd better not go back to sleep for my own good, and I had to be up at work the next morning, a new job working for Miss Glenda Roofing. And the cops came, they said, well, he called, you're the aggressor. He's got almost 100 pounds on me. Yeah. He's swole. I mean, I'm a little bitty guy, bro. I said, he's got almost 100 pounds on me. He has previous assault charges. I have a clean record. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not going to sit and pretend to be innocent.
You do have a clean record.
I'm not an aggressive person, but and that's what I told him. I said, Dwayne, you spooked me that night. You really scared me, dude. And that's the reason I wanted you to get off of me. And after that, I sat there. He said he was calling the cops. I said, well, call him. I told the cops, I said, it was all self-defense. I stayed here because I was waiting on y'all to come back. Like I said, try to tell them I got a clean record. I'm not aggressive.
So y'all dropped Duck off
at Mr. D's. Yeah.
And nobody else in the car with you?
No, it's just me and Pete.
Just you and Pete. Mm-hmm. And y'all left and came back to
Texarkana.
Cameron keeps insisting it was just him and Jared before his death. This makes him the last person with Jared, a detail that's hard to ignore. And while it seems straightforward, this is where things start to go wrong for Cameron.
Well, I mean, were you with him when he did that? You weren't coherent like you are now.
I wasn't at a Family Dollar last night, though. I mean, I stayed the night at Andrew's house.
Yes. And we talked to Andrew, and you got there between 2 and 3. He thinks closer to 2, well, between 2 and 3. This is at the Family Dollar about 1:45, 1:46, 1:47. So you weren't at Andrews at that time.
No, probably not.
And I think that I'm not trying to hink you up.
What's going on? Can I? Because now I'm. Can I know what's going on?
Well.
I mean, I kind of think I felt like I've given y'all some information. I've been on.
You have been very helpful.
When's the last time you talked to Pete? Last night before he dropped me off.
Well, Pete, we found Pete this morning. He's been killed.
What? What? Duck. He's a dealer. Oh, my God. No.
Cameron quickly tries to throw the person named Duck under the bus, hoping to shift the blame. However, this tactic is unlikely to help him. Moreover, as the detectives prepare to show him a picture from the CCTV footage that will change the course of this interrogation entirely.
It's just a picture of a picture. We've looked at it. We've blown it up. That's you at the Family Dollar I was telling you about.
Jacket and your blue shirt.
Your shirt, your boots. There's other angles from outside. That's about 1:40 something a.m. this morning.
Now we don't know everything that happened.
There's a reason for everything to happen, and we
Wait, what did y'all just say? Y'all found Pete? By that Family Dollar?
Yes.
Were they saying I'm a suspect or something?
Well, it's looking that way.
I'm going to kill my best friend.
We don't think you would do it intentionally.
I didn't do it at all. I was doing it unintentionally.
And who else was there?
Nobody was with us when Pete dropped me off.
I mean, do you agree that is you looking at that picture?
That's me, brother. I mean, I'm not going to say that.
Can I see you? Jacket you?
What would you say that is right there?
I don't know.
I would say that's blood.
You are finna try to say that I killed Pete. No, I'm not going for this.
We want to know if you were there.
No, I wasn't there, brother. I wasn't there.
But you were on the video.
Okay, do y'all have some video of me stabbing my best friend?
Cameron just mentioned something he shouldn't have. No one had told him about Jared being stabbed, yet he directly asked the detectives about it. This should have been a key moment in the interrogation, but perhaps the detectives chose to hold back, wanting to gather more information before responding.
Do y'all have Pete with me? I mean...
We have you telling us you were somewhere else, but you weren't.
I was dropped off on 38th and Elizabeth last night, brother.
Okay.
How are you going to say that for sure?
You remember talking to the person in the car by Family Dollar? They pulled over, the car drove by, turned around and came back and stopped on the side of the road. You walked over and talked to him. There's good video at Family Dollar. You walked over and talked to the car, the dark color car. You remember talking to him? You got a pretty distinct look to you.
So that's why I was asking, was you own something that you didn't, or somebody made,
That's why we're asking about the drugs. If it made you do something, if he got you to do something that you don't do, but you're trying to help him out and try to stay with him, try to keep him from doing something stupid, but then he ends up talking you into doing something stupid. That's what we want to know.
I don't do meth. I'll take a drug test, whatever y'all want.
Will the synthetic make you act crazy somehow?
No, I mean...
Because we've had people that didn't make them
y'all pulled up
crazy,
on me. I don't... It gives me a regular whole feed high, brother. I get the munchies, I eat something, I lay down. It only lasts about 20 minutes. I don't act crazy or anything.
Well, you were tore up when you walked into the Family Dollar because you walked smack into the door, which we're going to have your DNA on the door. You swabbed that. And you fell backwards. And you wandered around the parking lot for several minutes, and you kept looking around the corner where his truck was.
No, I don't remember any of this.
Were you on any drugs last night?
No.
Besides synthetic?
No, all I did.
Pills at all?
No, all I did was smoke synthetic last night with Pete.
Are you schizophrenic or anything like that? You don't take any medicine for that?
I'm not.
What time did y'all smoke that synthetic?
Between the time D's on the way back into town.
Okay. So that's about what time this happened. Do you even really remember how you got to Elizabeth Street?
Pete dropped me off.
No, Pete didn't drop you off.
Yes, he did. Pete was the only person I was with last night.
Pete couldn't have dropped you off at Elizabeth Street.
Because we got video of Pete's truck.
Of crashing.
Crashing, but
and you're walking up to the store.
Just
like that.
Whether Cameron is pretending during the interrogation or truly doesn't remember any of it remains unclear at this point. However, one thing is certain. He's in desperate need of a solid defense to get himself out of this interrogation. Let's see what he decides to do.
You said y'all have video of Pete's truck crashing and then me walking up. Y'all got video of me getting out of Pete's truck? I mean, what kind of hard evidence is this? I mean, I'm gonna go with you having blood on his blood on your jacket. That's pretty good evidence. And this ain't something we're trying to put on you.
We're not trying to put anything on you.
So we're understanding of what happens. There's things in life that makes people do things. There's two sides.
Reasons why things happen. And I'll tell you why. We've dealt with people, and you're not the person that we deal with normally that do this kind of thing. We deal with people that are just badass people that don't care about anybody else, that hurt people to hurt people. We deal with those, and I can't stand dealing with them, and Detective Visa can't stand with them. But we also deal with people like yourself that make mistakes. But the problem is they make another mistake when they come in and they don't. When we give them their time to tell us what happened, they don't tell us what happened. I mean, if Pete had been doing some meth and he attacks you or something like that, man, this is the time to let us know what's going on. We can't know, like we were in the truck with y'all. I know we talked to Andrew, and he says y'all been fighting, and he says Pete's been he's kind of been snobbish and act like he's better than everybody, like he's coming down on y'all and stuff, and I don't know why, and maybe that's the drugs making him do that. And maybe he's freaking talking down you, maybe he's attacking you, maybe he's trying to get you bought that bow for $5, you know what happened.
What happened last night? There's no doubt in both our minds that you really love Pete, you really like Pete, y'all thick. But something happened in that truck last night, and only you can tell us what really happened. I don't know.
What kind of drugs were you on last night?
I just smoked Eddie. That's all I do. I have to pass that drug test. I only smoked Eddie. He wanted to risk his little work. Gets out in 3 days. Hey man, whatever, Pete, you're a grown ass man, dude. That's your business, brother. I'm anti. I'm not going to
smoke the meth or shoot it out.
He shoots it.
Had he gone and got some?
Not around me. I'm uncomfortable around it. I don't even want him around whenever he's high. Was he? Because you wouldn't go with them? No. Was he? There had to be a reason. I don't think you're that type of person that would just attack somebody. I think you need to be just like this guy y'all was living with. You know, you fought back when you was getting attacked. I don't think you're the type that just attacks people. There's something that happened. And unfortunately, we know you there. There's no, we can debate anything you want to debate, but we can't debate that, bud. We know it happened, but we just like to hear your side of the story. I don't want to think that someone go out and start telling a story that you robbed him or you was whatever. I feel like there's a reason that something like this. Is that possible?
Cameron first tried to dodge the question with a logical answer, then shifted the focus more on a drug test. Now he's asking for a cigarette. It wasn't the best escape plan, but it bought him some time. However, after taking a puff, things quickly went back to square one.
There was nobody else in the truck with you. And you and Petey was the only two people in the truck. He said, hey man, you want to smoke now? I said, sure, but if I smoke, I'm just going to sleep the whole trip back. He said, I know. I said, all right, put your little country music on. And smoke out of a little socket, a little one here. And I took my nap. Where'd you wake up at? He was dropping me off on 38th Street. That's what I say, maybe he didn't come back and get me, though. He didn't. I will be honest with y'all here too. They what they call flex. It's like when they try to home make the synthetic.
Yeah.
It won't work very good. But I did notice that little bit we had last night was really strong. Really strong.
Who'd y'all get it from?
He probably got it from Doug. That's probably what he got for giving a ride to.
You think it messed with you?
If anything, like I said, I just went to sleep.
All you ever do is crash out.
So what you got?
I'm gonna take your jacket out here so we can analyze it, okay? You cut yourself in your arm?
I got a cut on my finger.
How'd you get there? We're right back, okay?
Can you get your glass of water or anything?
Cameron's story changes at this point, which only makes matters worse for him. With the new developments, the detectives take a step back to regroup, reviewing the key points they've noted and sending the jacket for blood testing. After a while, the detectives return, this time to push Cameron further, and they do it quite well.
Ooh, sorry. What's wrong? Everything okay?
I'm ready to go, guys. Today's been overwhelming. I want to go Queen and TT. I want to go talk to Cherry. That's probably where I'm going to stay the night at tonight.
Where does Cherry stay?
He lives with this little black girl that was up there. He lives with Queen.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
What's that?
You're gonna be under arrest.
For what?
Murder in the first degree.
How do you figure? What is it? I want some evidence. This says I get to talk to a lawyer. What? How am I getting arrested for murder in the first degree? What evidence do you have?
We got blood on your jacket. We got video yet to see.
Of me walking from the opposite direction.
Okay,
You're place that you weren't even supposed to be. You said you were at 38th and Elizabeth.
I'm 28 years old. As far as I could go where I need to, brother. I mean, what do you mean?
Yeah, and then when we asked you about it, you lied about where you were.
JR did not answer the door.
Well, you didn't. You're not no fucking magic witch, and you didn't fly from 38th and freaking Elizabeth
so
down
you went
to
from being
9th
cool
and
with me,
Jefferson.
cussing at me and talking this way. Y'all really think I killed my best friend? What the? I didn't.
I still don't think you did it intentionally. I think
do
something
it at
happened.
all. I didn't do it at all.
Who was in the car with y'all?
Nobody was
When y'all took Duck to the club, where did he sit at?
He was in the back seat.
Driver's side, passenger side.
Driver's.
He sat behind.
He sat behind Keith. So he always sit because I'm so tall. So I sit back.
That makes sense.
You know, I sit back.
That's how the seat was when we found it this morning.
And he didn't come back from y'all with y'all.
He didn't come back.
Y'all left him there.
He told us if he didn't walk back to the truck in 5 minutes, which I mean we knew we were leaving him at the bar. I didn't kill Pete though.
Did y'all smoke the synthetic in the deal?
I didn't kill Pete in Mandeville, brother. It lasts 20 minutes. It lasts 20 minutes. I've been smoking for 8 years.
Normal synthetic last.
You saw the video of you fucked up.
It's either like this,
right?
buddy. And I'm being honest. I ain't trying. I don't want you to take it wrong. It's either like this. Either you took something that screwed you up so bad you don't know what happened, or you sitting here lying to us. The evidence is. Listen.
I don't do anything but synthetic.
Okay, what I'm saying, it must have been something put in.
What's in that synthetic?
Anybody? I don't even know what they spray on it. I don't, brother.
That's what I'm saying. It could have been anything. But what the problem is, because you don't remember it happened, don't mean it didn't happen.
Despite the mounting evidence against him, Cameron continues to deny any involvement. However, for the detectives, it's clear he's the one responsible. It took quite some time to get him cornered, and it's taking even longer to draw out a confession. So as their next plan of action, they resort to the classic technique of sympathy, hoping to break him down.
Now we're being honest with each other. Like I was explaining earlier, I have family that's in law enforcement, and that's, yeah, I know, probable cause. Let's do what looks and go with our best judgment and this and that. But you know what, brother?
But I will tell you,
the book don't always read as the cover looks.
I agree with you 100%.
I'm not a bad man.
I agree with you 100%. And we're not going to stop today just because we're arresting you. We wanted to figure out what happened.
Was Duck still in trouble, y'all?
Sir?
Was Duck still in trouble, y'all? And you just being scared, you don't want to tell him, Duck.
What? I can't do this.
You have to do that.
I can't.
Was Pete your friend?
He was my best friend.
What happened, Cameron?
I woke up and we were wrecking. We were crashing. We were crashing. I was asleep. We were crashing.
What happened after?
I don't know. It was like, I thought Pete was knocked out. I remember coming up, I said his name. Pete, are you okay, Pete? Pete, I remember asking him if he was okay. He didn't say anything. I remember getting out the truck and running. I was trying to look for somebody to call. I stopped that car.
Who else was there?
Doug was in the truck with us when we left.
What happened?
But I don't know.
Cameron,
he wasn't there whenever I... He wasn't there. He wasn't there. I got out of the truck, he wasn't there.
Why would you say you're worried about your family? Come on, can you walk us through it?
Can I smoke another cigarette first? Before we do this? I mean, is that all right? No.
Obviously, Cameron didn't get his second cigarette break, but finally, he says something that catches the detective's attention. His story has changed multiple times throughout the interrogation, but this version seems more convincing. But we'll soon learn that this is yet again not the truth.
He was your friend, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your best friend?
One of them.
He take care of you? So now it's your turn to take care of him. Look at me, Cameron. It's your turn to take care of him. Right? What happened? This is us talking man to man. What happened?
I didn't catch it all, but I caught that at the end of the conversation. Took one to go somewhere Pete wasn't trying to take it.
Where?
I'm not sure. I ain't gonna say I was out of it, but I was f***ed up on the synthetic. You know, I'm still laid back in the seat. I'm still trying to sleep. It was like they went to at each other, but I thought they were just kind of flapping at each other, you know? And then we started wrecking. And they wrecked. I remember I couldn't get my door open. I remember climbing over Jared. I climbed over Pete. And then I look around. Duck was gone. He wasn't nowhere to be found. I said Pete's name 2 or 3 times. He was linked over the console. He didn't move. I went to go try to get help. Somebody. I don't know. I freaked out. I seen all the blood stuff on Pete. I checked his pulse. That's why the blood's on my sleeve.
Where'd you check the pulse at?
On his neck. I checked it on his neck.
Was the car running?
There were no keys. The keys were gone. I checked his neck. And then I freaked out. And then the Mexican, he didn't want to help me. The Mexican guy didn't want to help me. I just left him dead. I told one person.
Who'd you tell?
I'm not going to tell you.
And for the last time, his story changed, and this time he threw Duck under the bus once again. And about that one person would ultimately be the key to solving the case.
I ain't told him no more than what I sit here and told you, brother. I would just prefer to keep them out of it.
You have to tell us. You have to. Cameron, look at me. Was Pete your friend?
Yeah, but they can't help you no more than what I'm.
They can help us.
They can't, though. All I did was go invent.
Who was it?
Can't tell you. I don't want them involved in this. I don't want them involved.
They have to. We have to talk to them. We have to confirm what you're telling us. You have to. Okay. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
I can sit here and tell you, but he's not going to tell you nothing. He's not going to talk to you.
Well, then tell me who it was. If he's not going to talk to us, that's fine.
It was Mama's son. It was Curtis. He stays over there with her.
It's who?
Curtis.
Soon, the detectives bring in Curtis Flowers, Cameron's good friend, for an interview. Curtis was the only person Cameron met after the tragic incident in the early hours of November 26, 2017.
Hey, brother, can I talk to you? Sure. I'm in my room, sat on the edge of my bed, and he just started shaking. I said, bro, what's the matter? Bro, I killed Pete. Whoa. I said, what? I think I killed Pete. I said, what do you mean? I was asleep. And the only thing I can remember is him hitting me. And the only thing I could do was just reach, and I stuck it. I said, okay. Call the police. No. Where is he at? Is at the hospital? No. Well, where is he at? He said, I don't know. Okay. And sat there for a second. And he went on to say, I left him at the motel. And I said, okay. Call the police. It would have been self-defense. If that's how you said it happened. He said, oh no, Kurt. And this is what I told him. I said, bro, you gotta go. You gotta leave here. Because mom gonna see you crying. And she gonna ask you what's the matter. And then you gonna end up having to tell her that I don't want my mom into that. And so he left. I walked him out the door. And I watched him walk up the street. He was headed to Arkansas. He stopped at the corner.
With Curtis's statements in hand, Cameron was charged with first-degree murder on November 27, 2017. On November 29, 2018, he was found guilty. Although Cameron maintained his innocence throughout the trial's first phase, he testified during the sentencing phase, claiming that Jared's death had been accidental. Despite this, he was sentenced to life imprisonment.
At some point while you're on the phone with your sister and walking around the woods, did you find something?
Yes, I stepped over a log and found the remains.
And specifically, when you said remains, what did you see?
Specifically, I found a human skull.
The community was paralyzed with fear when 22-year-old police officer Miles Bryant, entrusted with their safety, was accused of murdering 16-year-old Susanna Morales. Her remains were discovered over 20 miles from Norcross in a forested area on February 6, 2023.
Now, he signaled you, and when you walked over there, what did you first observe?
There was a Glock 19 handgun underneath some pine straw.
Miles Bryant's firearm was discovered near the site, linking him to the case. After his arrest on February 13, 2023, several women came forward, accusing Miles of stalking and breaking into their homes.
I was shocked. I felt like it could have been me because he was the person at my door coming and unscrewing my knob and kicking it down and stuff like that.
This screen grab of a man in military fatigues from October shows the first time Bates says a neighbor's camera recorded him at her door. She says 2 other videos from December show him back there again, covering his face and pulling on the door handle, then again knocking.
The community was left in shock after a police officer, once seen as a protector, was charged with a horrific crime that forever changed the life of the suspect.
On July 26th at approximately 6 p.m., we know that Susanna Morales left her home on Santa Ana Drive in Norcross and walked a short distance to the Sterling Glen apartment complex on Indian Trail Road. There, she met with her friend for about 4 hours, and at about 10 o'clock, she began her trek back to her house. We know that between 10 and 10:30 p.m., Susanna had an interaction with an individual and ultimately was not seen or heard from again.
This surveillance video captures the last moments 16-year-old Susanna Morales was seen July 26th. She was walking home near Singleton Road and Indian Trail Lilburn Road after visiting a friend.
Something happened in between the place that we got the camera footage from and our neighborhood, and that was like a minute apart. So something happened in that little minute, and we just haven't been able to figure out what happened.
Jasmine defended her sister when the police suggested Susanna might have fled home.
So we know that she's not out there because she wants to be. She will never do that. I mean, it's been over a month. It would have been like, so she would have contacted like her boyfriend, my mom, me, or at least. It's frustration of not knowing where she is, not knowing anything, you know? Like, all I ask sometimes is just, I just want to know where she's at so I can get her.
This case was immediately assigned to our Criminal Investigations Division, who worked diligently on this case and followed up on a number of leads and tips. However, those leads and tips did not come to fruition. We know that on February the 6th, a citizen who was walking in the area of Drowning Creek Road and Highway 316 happened upon skeletal remains. The Gwinnett County Police Department sealed that crime scene, the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner took custody of those remains, and they were positively identified as having belonged to Susanna Morales. The following morning, February 7th, we brought out a large contingency of police personnel and conducted a methodical and meticulous search known as a grid search. And during that search, we located a firearm that had been reported stolen on July 27th. This is the same day that Susanna was reported missing. That firearm we traced back to a 22-year-old former Doraville police officer named Miles Bryant. Bryant then became a person of interest in our case. We continue investigating, and on February 13th, we secured warrants for concealing the death of another.
Miles Bryant was promptly called in for questioning.
I just play basketball, sorry.
Nah, you're good, man. We've been all over this complex.
Oh, man, you Doraville? Yeah. How long you been with them? 2.5 years now. You like it? Yeah. So, yeah, when she first was missing, I was talking to the neighborhood team, stuff like that. They didn't really know anything. I don't really get to the school. I've been watching the news, and my girl used to stay here. Literally just moved out, and pretty much it.
Yeah. Nothing. What are those neighborhood kids saying?
I haven't talked to them in a minute, but when she first was missing, it was like they was just with her, and they was joining on each other. Some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything actually. Like me and my girl was talking about it, stuff like that. So it was like it's just weird. They said she was walking home, and then she just. You know,
and that's what we're just out here asking questions and stuff. Like, how many calls do you get like being courteous? None of us are courteous.
No, I would get like. It depends. Like, I get stupid calls like noise complaints.
Yeah.
Noise complaints. And
do you have to come out and handle those, or?
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come out. Sometimes I try to get West Side guys.
Yeah.
Come out, stuff like that. Sometimes I ride around a patrol.
Yeah. You're doing a lot more than some. I worked down in the South Precinct where I started, down in like Stone Mountain, and man, there was one courteous officer. He wouldn't do a thing. Like, he was calling us for every little thing, man. It was ridiculous.
All right, so we just got some questions. We got to run over some stuff. It seems like you're courtesy here, so you know kind of things what's going on.
Well versed in what's happening in the complex.
So you got some time for us to come up to our headquarters and just talk about what you see on a daily basis and stuff like that.
Yeah. Can that be today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now? No. I was actually finna head out.
Where are you going?
I have to go meet my girlfriend and I have to work later.
Okay.
Would I be out by time work? Or?
What time?
4.
Okay. Yeah, it should be. I mean, like I said, we just got some questions that courtesy officer between you and the leasing office. You guys probably get calls all the day, and we're literally talking to everyone here. So we're just trying to document we got no leads, man. We're just trying to document everything. That's all we are.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta come and talk. Can I drive there?
We'll drive you, man.
Yeah, we'll take you up there.
Yeah, you don't gotta waste your gas or anything and all that stuff.
Can I drive?
County gas, man.
Can I call my girlfriend later?
We'll call her once we get up there, okay? Right now, we'll just go up there. You got any guns or anything on you?
No,
right
I
now?
don't. Actually.
You don't? No. Okay, can I pat you down just to make sure?
What's going on, man?
You're good. It's our policy, man. We just
I know how this road.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you know
how it is.
You know that we don't want to get our balls busted with the GDM and everything.
All right. You can get up front seat, all right, man? In this particular instance, when you picked up the defendant, did you observe any manifestations that you just described that you might term, as a detective with the experience, signs of nervousness?
Yes, sir.
And would you explain what those were?
So almost immediately when we began talking to Mr. Bryant, his hands were almost uncontrollably shaking. His breathing was elevated, and you can see his chest rising and falling. And then while we were in the car on the way, while we were continuously having a dialogue, he kind of leaned his head up against the side of the car and attempted or tried to take a nap.
The investigation is still ongoing, and if there's further charges in the future, those will be known. As of right now, it's still early in.
So you said you worked at Forsyth?
Yes.
So how long did you work at Forsyth?
Maybe a year.
Okay. You go to school or anything? Like college?
I thought about it, but I want to get working, so.
Okay. So what do you want to do?
Me?
Police department?
I want to get like a crime suppression team, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
like lead it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It probably goes, not lead it, and then probably goes like CID.
Okay.
Detective.
What kind of CID stuff you want to do?
We just have general CID. I don't know. I know it's not breaking up stuff like that.
City agencies do that.
I want to do like maybe like burglary. Like that. I hate people who steal. You know.
Yeah.
I like these.
Okay. So I know that your gun was stolen. Do you know if it was located or anything yet?
No, I haven't heard anything.
I haven't run it yet. We probably need to check that, see if it's still. But they would have called you.
I can't find my wallet. My holster's there. My gun and holster is never separate. You know, we the people conceal holster. If I take the holster. I don't carry it free. So that's definitely missing. You want me to get a serial number for you real quick? If you don't mind. Yeah. Sorry about that. And if you run my tag, I'm the registered owner. I don't have my wallet, so I have my ID on.
No, that's fine. Do you think your wallet was in the truck as well, or?
I think so, because I didn't. The pants I had on yesterday, I took it in the house, looked through all the grocery bags. I only went in the house, and I came out here and I ran around in there. But I'm the courtesy officer. And then last night, when my girl got back from, we did something. We came back. I drove around a little bit, and I needed to do patrol anyway. I drove around a little bit, see if I could find it. I didn't see it. It was dark anyway, but.
Okay. Either way, I'll list it in the truck just to say it's out on our report.
Yeah. I don't really care about, the detective stuff like that. I just want to get on GCIC at least. Some person get caught on the side of the road with it,
No, I got you.
Yeah.
Did in your call with Mr. Bryant, he make any statements about how he wanted you to handle or investigate the report?
He stated that he just wanted the gun listed as stolen and that he didn't really want detectives looking into it.
Based on your training and experience with Gwinnett County Police Department, what were your thoughts when you heard that? Is that normal?
I found it a little odd that we had a serial number for specific property that could be returned to him, but he didn't want any follow-up done with this case.
Did you know her at all, Morales? Nothing? Never saw her like playing basketball or anything with the other kids?
Never. I didn't recognize her at all. That is crazy.
However, Alyssa Marvin had a different perspective to share.
Had you ever had any personal interactions with the defendant before Susanna disappeared?
Yes.
And can you tell us what those are?
So there was one time, there was multiple times he would drive by and, he'll say hello and everything to everyone. And there was one time we were at the pool and it was me and Kelly. Susanna came after, like towards the end before we left, but we were there at the pool and he came with his backpack and he had, a drink with him and he had little shot cups and he had edibles and stuff, and he asked how old I was, and then when I told him my age, he still wanted to talk to me but didn't talk to me because of my age. So he knew not to drink with me, but he wanted to drink with me before he knew my age, but he still offered the edibles. But then that was the interaction I had with him that night. And before we left, I believe it was the same day, we wanted to order pizza because, it's a hot day outside. Someone wants to eat. We wanted to eat and we was going to order pizza. He offered us to give us a ride to get pizza, but we said no because we're underage, you're grown, so we said no to that. We ordered pizza. We went home about our day. That was the one, I could say face-to-face interaction, full conversation.
Since that time, our criminal investigators have been working this case continuously, and we have reached a threshold to where these charges have now been upgraded to felony murder and kidnapping charges.
Miles.
Yes.
This is where we're at, okay? And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Your phone records are there. You made 2 phone calls 3 hours after she's last seen on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And your gun is found right there as well with your phone. where those 2 phone calls are placed. Help me out.
So, I understand where this is coming from.
No, I'm saying, I know you do. Just help me out a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know what you're thinking, but no.
What would you think?
You think that's something to do?
No, I said, what would you think?
Oh no, I get that part, but now my heart's beating. It's like, whoa, you know. I get that. That's almost like, hey, you know, stuff like that. But no, I never been like that, you know. I would never do something like that. I was actually on the phone with her, her and my side chick, like that, and I'm talking to them about stuff. That's it.
What's your side chick's name?
Avion.
Avion, that's the one that lives.
Austell area.
You getting chased around by your girlfriend and then call your side chick to decompress.
Yeah. And then I talk to my girlfriend and we end up meeting and stuff like that.
So the phone records put you literally right there, and it's not your personal phone. You call her on your work phone.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
I think my personal phone's dead.
Okay.
But I have both their numbers. I just need to calm down.
It shows you in the woods.
In the woods? I never left my show. I don't think I was in the woods.
Cell phone data placed Miles near the location of Susanna's remains on the night she disappeared. Records also indicated that his phone returned to the area later that morning, about an hour before he reported his firearm stolen.
My DNA, whatever.
We've done that. Soldier to soldier, cop to cop.
Yeah.
I told you I've looked into Susanna.
Yeah.
I know what kind of friends she had. I know what she did, and I know how she was. Basically, we know you were there, but we need to figure out why and what happened. I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't. You weren't brought up here in handcuffs or anything.
Yeah, no.
So, and I have your back. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're like family. You know what I'm saying? We're all family here. I got to figure out what happened. Because there's no arguing. If you were there, if you weren't, we know you were.
Right.
So we have to, I know that it was more than you were talking to your girlfriend. There was movement around there, so that's what we have to cover right now, okay? Tell me what happened, please.
I don't know. I literally was with my girlfriend, on the phone with my girlfriend, and that's it.
During testimony, Miles's ex-girlfriend, Avion Smyer, contradicted his story of that night and pointed out suspicious scratches on his truck.
In this case, I called the cause of death undetermined due to decomposition with skeletonization. I believe if I had had the intact body, I could have come up with a specific cause of death, but I'm limited based on what I have. The body is too decomposed. All I have is a skeleton. Because the circumstances, again, young female, this isolated area where it's far removed from where she was last known to be alive, and no personal effects, no clothing. As a medical examiner with 30 years of experience, if I were to see an intact individual at this type of a scene, first thing I'm going to think of is some type of homicidal violence, specifically some type of asphyxial type component, strangulation, suffocation, chest compression, things of that nature. Because if you have a nude individual, nude or partially nude, that better be, as a medical examiner, that better be one of the first things you're thinking about.
Though an autopsy couldn't be performed to prove assault, Miles's actions were motivated. Detective Angela Carter testified about her findings from Miles's search history.
I found photographs of him looking at the media coverage of Susanna that had the pictures attached to them.
All right, now 396. What are we looking for here?
How are you ID'd by dental records?
And when did this search occur?
February 9th, 2023 at 4:04 a.m. UTC time, which would be February 8th, 2023 at 11:04 p.m.
All right. How long after the defendant searched for the camera footage from the Georgia Department of Transportation, and I'll try to put them both on the screen here, did he search for how was somebody identified by dental records.
A little over 10 minutes later.
And then lastly, it says record number 404. What is that search?
Gwinnett County teen found.
Michael Jones, a fellow inmate of Miles in prison, also testified against him.
Okay, and what conversation did you have with him about some of the details of what was contained in the discovery?
After a few days, after he read it, looked over it, he come back out and he said, "Well, I don't think I'm not gonna get charged for this. They ain't got nothing against me. There's no. It says right here plain. He says it says right here plain. There's no blood, no semen, no nothing. They can't. They ain't got nothing against me."
A former classmate, Alicia Bates, provided testimony that shed light on Miles's character.
I've known him since 5th grade. We grew up together.
She believes that Miles broke into her home.
Well, my neighbor told me that she saw Miles come into our community and listening to my door when I wasn't home and just trying to see if I was home, messing with my doorknob and stuff. She told me, and once she showed me the video of him, it was all alarming.
Then did you go out and get a firearm because of him?
Yes.
She stated that Miles became so aggressive that she feared for her life and reported him to his employer, the Doraville Police Department.
I don't think they took the matter serious because he was a cop. However, I do feel like if they did, Susanna could still be alive.
She claims their stalking occurred both before and after 16-year-old Susanna Morales went missing in July.
He was capable of it. When the officers asked me why he was trying to break into my apartment, I told them that I was scared that he was trying to break me.
Alicia Bates now believes her childhood friend, former Doraville police officer Miles Bryant, stalked her at her Snellville apartment last year. She believes this Ring video her neighbor gave her is Bryant, as he lurked around her door, trying her knob, wearing a hood on his head. She says he even broke in one time when she was not home.
Okay, Ms. Bates, we were talking about the last time on December 12th, 2022, the day after you had called police, and you said you saw him by your dumpster trash area in your complex.
Yes, ma'am. I saw him. I was walking to my car. I felt like somebody was watching me. It was pretty late, so I was alert. It's pretty dark.
Did you see a vehicle?
I did. I saw a F-150 parked by the dumpsters with a dark-skinned male standing outside with glasses on.
Okay, and what did you do when you saw that F-150 in the mail?
I hurried up and got in my car and locked the doors and called my boyfriend, or my ex-boyfriend.
And did you leave your complex that night then?
I did.
Did you, after then, that was in December of 2022, did you ever initiate any more contact with Mr. Bryant?
No, ma'am.
Did you hear from him any other time?
No, he kept texting me, but I never responded.
And again, since knowing him from 5th grade to today, did you guys ever go on a date?
Never.
Did you ever sleep together?
Never.
Did you ever express any interest in him?
Never.
Would she have gone there while y'all were talking, while you were driving around?
I don't know where she went. I think she was driving around too.
Okay.
Miles, I'm getting frustrated because I feel like you think I'm lying to you.
No, I believe. Really.
Because maybe I am wrong about you. Maybe I'm wrong. You also tried to get into a girl's apartment off Annistown. You didn't? Oh, your phone was just casually there too?
No, they had a whole investigation about that. I was there, but I didn't try to break in her apartment. She lied.
So what was you trying to do?
I was talking to her. Like we was free. Like
You didn't try to open her door?
Me and my sergeant.
You didn't answer my question. You didn't try to open her door?
Yes.
Okay, I know. Why was you hiding your head?
It was raining.
Oh, it was raining. Where was your PC? You was wearing a gray jacket.
Yeah, because
that was a violation of 6.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Because you didn't want anyone to see your hat because it has your name on the back of your head. Okay?
No, I didn't have a PC on, I swear.
I know, exactly. Yeah. Because you didn't want people to see your name.
No.
Yes.
She knew exactly where I was. She knew where I was.
She didn't want you there.
She didn't ever tell me that. She never told me that.
Did she invite you over?
No.
You didn't. So you just show up to this girl's apartment and try to break in. That's how it looks, right?
Yeah.
So casually, you're just the victim in all this. You're just casually being all these like victim situations where you're just casually in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what you're telling me.
No, my sergeant did a whole investigation.
Miles, you gotta just take a minute, take a breath. You gotta stop.
Put me as a suspect in this.
It's okay. Take a breath. Take a deep breath. We need your help. We want to give this family closure.
I understand that.
Your gun's there. Your phone puts you in the woods. What can we give this family?
You're not a bad person, Miles. This is not just an effect on you, this is an effect on all officers everywhere.
I know, I'm not, it's not me. It's not me.
If you were me, what would you do?
I understand it, I don't know.
Tell me, what would you do? Tell me.
Investigate some more stuff like that, I don't know.
Like what?
I know you did your thing, you did the due diligence. It's not, nothing to do with that part. You can ask my girlfriend, nobody was with me. When she was with me, even before all that nobody was with me.
How do you explain your truck being parked in front of Susanna's house a month after she went missing?
What you mean?
So do you guys use Vigilant? You know what Vigilant is?
Mm-hmm.
So it compiles, you got LPR cars?
Yeah.
So it takes every LPR car, and it takes all the LPR cars from like the repo people,
mm-hmm.
and it puts it into Vigilant, and we can research that.
Mm-hmm.
So doing our due diligence, your truck is sitting outside Susanna's house.
Where does she live? I sit outside her house. Where does she live? Can you show me my truck? I can't.
Yep, sure can. No, I can't. It's dead. Pretty sure I took a picture of it though.
Like just sitting there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where she lives. God.
It's not a question about if it's you or not, because we already know that.
No.
But listen, it's a question about what happened, okay?
Sitting there. It's not.
It's a question about if you are a cold-blooded killer or if you made a mistake. That's literally where we're at right now.
Susanna's family attorney, Alex Northover, states that the Doraville police failed to take timely corrective action.
There were multiple indications that this individual presented a danger. There was a previous allegation of stalking.
Alex Northover asserts that the city of Doraville should be held accountable, adding that he communicated with officials during the ongoing criminal and civil investigations.
Take responsibility for their role in this tragic incident and take measures to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
He suggests it's time to reform the process of recruiting new officers.
Increased hiring, screening procedures, adequate training.
Yet, more startling revelations are on the horizon.
While he was on duty and in uniform, asked her to utilize her cell phone because he needed to log into his bank. And instead of doing so, he accessed her videos and sent himself videos of conducting sexual activity on her phone. He's a danger to women in this community. He is has not upheld the oath that he took to protect and serve both the citizens of Doraville and the state of Georgia.
The jury viewed police body cam footage documenting Miles's interaction with a girl who returned home after being reported missing by her family in May 2022.
Something was happening to you. We're doing a rape or a missing person, then we find your body out there in the woods. Then what? Because I know you're probably strong and you're smart and you know say no to strangers and stuff like that. Nowadays people don't care. People are my size, big, and just come snatch you up. You can scream, you can shout all you want, and they'll throw you in the back of the van and go take you, and your parents will never see you again.
This badge is supposed to stand for something. It's supposed to stand for the obligation somebody takes to serve and to protect their community. Every officer takes that sworn statement. It's on the side of police cars. They are to serve and to protect. That flag, the United States flag, means something. When somebody in the National Guard takes an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and the laws of our country and the laws of the state of Georgia, it means something. But to the defendant, it meant nothing. He took those oaths, and as you've seen through the trial, violated them time and time again. He didn't serve, he didn't protect, he abused. He took his power, he took his badge, and he used that to violate the law. He used that to murder. He is a cop-turned killer.
Do you personally, Miles Bryant, want to testify or not?
No, ma'am. Defendant has freely and voluntarily decided not to testify with a complete understanding of his rights. Has the jury reached a verdict? Okay, if you'll hand it to my bailiff. State of Georgia versus Miles Bryant. Indictment number 24B00156-4. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 3, kidnapping. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 4, criminal attempt to commit rape. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. Count 5, false report of a crime. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
Defense attorney Tracy Drake addressed the press following the trial.
Can you give us a little bit of insight as to what you said during your opening and your closing here when you talked about the jury? You warned the jury they were going to hate Miles Bryant. You warned them that they would think he was cold and callous. And you said you didn't even like him much yourself.
Well, just because of the family not knowing for 7 months. You know, that's awful. I mean, I'm a parent. Any parent, you know, I cannot imagine what she went through. And Miss Maria was very gracious to me. I think y'all heard me say I don't like to approach the family, but, you know, I did give her a hug today to express my condolences to her because I know that must have been horrible.
Last question. What do you think the most damning piece of evidence the prosecution put forth that pretty much sealed your client's fate?
The Life 360. The Life 360. Of course, some of the other evidence was damaging, but I don't think if they had the Life 360 that they would have been able to really go forward.
Not the gun in the cell tower.
Not, because I think without the Life 360, it would have made it even more difficult to show arguably where she was picked up, where she went, the crash alert. I think all of that really bolstered their case to show that obviously that he did something to her.
It took over just 5 hours to reach a verdict, a moment Susanna Morales' family had been waiting for nearly 2 years.
All I ever wanted was justice for what happened to her. I mean, nothing will ever bring her back to this day. I still hope that I'll see her again.
I just hope that after today, you and your family can find some peace. That is what I wish for you. Hopefully, you will receive some peace now.
I told him that I knew what was going on with him and Eric. My dad.
In 1989, the Menendez brothers case was one of the first to receive extensive media coverage, providing the public an unfiltered platform to voice their opinions. Yet, overlooked insights, the emergence of a new victim, and shocking new evidence may reshape the entire narrative of this high-profile case.
Beverly Hills emergency? Yes, police. What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people...
No.
Were they shot?
Hey, Matthew.
Were they shot?
Yes.
They were shot?
Yes.
102, 102, 722 North Elmore.
What happened?
A couple was sitting around watching TV when their adult sons came in with shotguns and slaughtered them. What did these parents do to deserve that? There must be a reason.
I've just never been a kid of guilt or innocence. It was always about why it happened.
When I walked into the room and, the television was on and, there was
blood and body parts all over the place.
I think one of the Beverly Hills detectives described it as one of the most brutal crime scene he had ever seen in his life.
I've been in this business for over 33 years, and I've heard of very few murders that were more savage than this one was.
The tale that took the world by storm had its grim beginnings with the death of the Menendez couple, Jose Menendez, who was shot 6 times, including a fatal blow to the back of his head with a 12-gauge shotgun, while his wife, Kitty Menendez, suffered 10 gunshot wounds. The couple endured multiple shots that laid bare the killer's determination to end their lives in the most painful way possible. When police arrived, Lyle, 21, and Eric, 18, claimed they had been at a movie theater at the time of the killings.
They were ordering the occupants out of the house, which was Lyle and Eric, and they came running out of the house extremely despondent and carrying and crying and yelling and that kind of stuff. And Eric ran from the doorway across the driveway to this tree and started trying to bash his head against the tree. And he had to be physically restrained by the officer.
Our feeling was not, we'll just explain what happened and it'll be okay. We were very stunned, and we felt that we would go to jail, obviously.
They didn't do any gunshot residue test on their hands. They let him go back and get evidence without even thinking, hey, could it have been the kids?
Police suspicion intensified as the two brothers embarked on a spending spree following their parents' deaths.
Lyle returned to the Princeton area and began a kind of spending frenzy. His friends say they thought it was his way of dealing with his grief. Over several weeks, he bought clothes, a Rolex, a $62,000 Porsche. Rather than return to school, he bought a restaurant, saying his mother would have been pleased.
Jose Menendez was the self-made millionaire. He was very driven, very demanding. The prosecution's theory was they got tired of their lives being micromanaged. They wanted to spend the money the way they wanted to spend the money. They were buying Rolex watches. They were buying real estate. The way that they acted was not like, oh my goodness, my parents are dead. It was soulless.
It was strictly greed from day one.
You believe they wanted a portion of the money?
They wanted it all.
Within several months, we knew they had done it, and it was not an organized crime hit.
Eric Menendez called Dr. Jerome Oziel and said that he needed to come talk to him about something.
When Eric's therapist, Dr. Oziel, was brought in to testify, a shocking twist was revealed that blew the case wide open.
He sat on the bench, and for a significant period of time, Eric told me things about his father and how his father was a great man and how he intended to write a book about his father. And we headed back to the office, and right before we entered the front door of the office building in which I had my office, he leaned back against, as I recall, a parking meter that was in front of the office door and said, we did it. And I don't know if he said we killed our parents, but I asked him, you mean you killed your parents? He said yes. And from that point, we went back up into the office.
As a juvenile, Eric had been caught in a burglary and was sent to therapy after being deemed mentally ill during the trial. Jose ensured strict documentation was in place before Dr. Oziel began treating Eric. After the murders, Eric chose to return to those therapy sessions, which unfortunately didn't turn out well for the brother.
Dr. Oziel told the brothers that perhaps they should record an audio tape that would show that they had remorse just in case they ever were arrested. And it was at this time that he invited his girlfriend, Judalyn Smith, to sit in the waiting room just in case anything crazy took place or the brothers started making threats.
If I didn't please him and if he didn't love me, then I was going to end up dead.
And why did you think you were going to end up dead?
Because he told me.
And did he say how you were going to end up dead?
Yes, he said that he would call Lyle and Eric and tell them that I had been outside the door and that I knew and that I was wanting to go to the police and that they would kill me.
The Beverly Hills police got a search warrant and seized the audio tapes. Jerry Oziel was freaked out when the police came back to his house with the audio tapes, he was jumping up and down and saying, I'm in danger, my wife's in danger, Judalon Smith is in danger, you need to listen to these tapes right now. And so the Beverly Hills Police, they listened to the audio tapes and they heard the confession of Eric and Lyle Menendez to murdering their parents.
When Eric and I did courage beyond belief, beyond faith. And I knew I was going to make a decision to kill my mother without Eric's consent. I didn't even want to influence him in that day. I just let him sleep on it in a couple days.
We knew that the brothers had killed their parents. It was time to arrest everyone.
Later that afternoon, Lyle Menendez was arrested coming out of his house with two friends from Princeton.
Meanwhile, Eric was in a tennis tournament in Israel when Lyle was arrested. And when he heard that Lyle had been arrested, it took him 3 days to come home to turn himself in.
We have evidence that will prove that they were experiencing fear, that they were in imminent danger of death or great bodily injury at the hands of their parents.
The brothers' team aimed to humanize their story by choosing female defense attorneys. Leslie Abramson and Jill Lansing's approach shed light on the psychological scars of abuse, challenging both the jury and the public to take the trauma narrative more seriously. Before their attorneys became involved, the brothers were unable to open up about abuse. But with their support, they finally shared their experiences, changing the course of the case.
All right, then, I'll now turn to the lawyers, and they may make their opening statements.
We will prove to you that Lyle Menendez planned this murder and then set off to spend the money which he had acquired through the killings of his parents. I remember making an opening statement, going in the bathroom and throwing up because it was like there was a lot of pressure.
Taking a life can never be justified, but the circumstances leading to such a brutal choice demand attention. As the prosecution's aggression intensified, it was now the defense's turn to strike an emotional chord.
You heard about some of the things that he liked to do to his little boy, and one of them was to stick tacks like this in his thighs and in his...
It was time for the world to hear the harrowing confessions that would go on to leave the world stunned.
What do you believe was the originating cause of you and your brother shooting your parents?
Me telling.
You telling Lyle what? Was it you telling Lyle about something that was happening?
My dad. My dad. If you don't ask, my dad had me.
And did you want something from your brother? Is that why you told him?
I wanted to stop.
Were you seeking help from your brother?
Yes.
I told him that it was basically oral sex that was happening.
Okay. And did you tell him anything about any kind of violence that would accompany it or any kind of threats from your father?
Yes.
And what did you tell him about violence?
I told him that there were pins and tacks that Dad would stick in me and use.
Pins.
Could you speak up, please?
That Dad would stick in me and use.
Pins and tacks?
Yes.
And did you give him the impression that these pins and tacks were being used during oral?
Yes.
And in fact, was that something that did happen between yourself and your father when you were a teen?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you tell him about any weapons that your father ever threatened you with?
I told him that he threatened me with a knife.
Now, Mr. Menendez, do you remember the kind of knife that your father threatened you with?
Yes.
What kind was it?
It was a jagged knife.
A what?
A jagged knife on one end. It was a Rambo knife.
A Rambo knife?
Yeah, a knife that he had.
This is a proof sheet of the sequence of the photographs from Eric's 6th birthday party. These photographs were found in this envelope. This envelope has the handwriting of his mother, Mary Louise Menendez. This is the one of Lyle's nakedness, which was saved by his mother.
He would take photographs of us, our private parts.
And would he have you come in and pose for these photographs, or how would that happen?
I would just, if we were in the showers or bathtub or changing, he would just use the same camera that my mother used, and then he would come in and take just a photograph or two, and he wouldn't say anything, and then he would leave.
The prosecution's theory is that the boys, the children, took the naked pictures.
After sports practices, he would massage me, and we would have these talks, and he would show me, and he would fondle me, and he would ask me to do the same with him, and I would touch him, and we would undress.
Where would this take place?
In my bedroom, like 2 or 3 times a week. We would be in the bathroom, and he would put me on my knees, and he would guide me, all my movements. He used objects.
What kind of objects?
A toothbrush and some sort of shaving utensil brush.
And what would he do with the toothbrush?
Well, in the bedroom, we'd have what we called object sessions. He'd have a tube of Vaseline, and he just played with me.
Did you tell your mom?
Yes.
What did you say to your mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me. She told me to stop it. And that I was exaggerating. And that my dad has to punish me when I do things wrong. And she told me that he loved me.
Lyle's testimony offered a completely new perspective on the case, though some critics argued he was playing a false victim. But Eric's reaction only deepened the plot. What Lyle revealed next was a confession so horrifying that even Eric struggled to bear it.
Did you tell your brother? Did you do something to your brother?
Yes.
What did you do to your brother?
I took him out to the woods. Whenever I felt, I don't know, I took him out sometimes, and I took a toothbrush also, and I played with Eric in the same way. And I'm sorry.
When you were about 13, did you think that it might be happening to someone else?
Yes.
And who did you think it was happening to?
Eric.
And did you do something about it?
Yes.
What did you do?
I talked to my dad.
What did you say to your dad?
I told him that I knew what was going on with him and Eric, and I heard noises, and that I wanted him to leave Eric alone.
You just learned that your brother had basically threatened to tell on your father.
Yes.
If the two of you disappeared that night, did you have in mind anything that your father might think about that?
Well, I thought Dad was going to kill us, and no matter where we went, anywhere, he was going to kill us. obviously my dad thought that Lyle and I were going to go tell somebody.
So if you left the house that night, what do you think your dad would have thought?
That we were going to tell.
That you had gone to tell.
I don't know if we had gone to tell that instant, but that we were definitely going to tell.
So where did the conversation with your brother Lyle lead to Thursday night?
It led to us having to buy guns. Led to Lyle saying, we got to protect ourselves. We got to do something. Because I kept eliminating all of his options.
Okay, he was coming up with options.
Yeah, I was pretty much just crying and doing whatever I was doing. And he was saying, well, what if we could do this? Well, what if we do that? And he said, calm down, we'll work it out. And I was just not being very helpful.
Did you think any of the options would work?
No.
So a decision was made to try to protect yourselves yourself. Is
Yes.
that it? And you were talking about the fact that Dad would kill you. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you think your mother would stop him?
Oh, I thought my mom would do it with him. There wasn't no one and the other.
Why did you think your mother would do it with him?
Because that's who my mom was. They were very much of a team. Besides the fact that my mom hated us, they were a team.
Were you so sure that your mother hated you before Thursday night as you were after?
After, I definitely knew. For her to have known all those years, I knew she must have hated me, but I thought it before as well.
The murders could be viewed as a desperate reaction from two individuals who felt powerless to confront their abuser with societal norms, leading to a tragic and misguided attempt to break free from their parents permanently.
I had since talked to many people who said, yeah, I met Jose Menendez. He was like one of the most horrible people on earth. He was brutal, and he raised two kids capable of murder. So what more can you say about a guy? His wife was a victim.
Even more shocking was the testimony from family members about Jose Menendez's character.
Lyle came down, and he was asking if he could, I thought he was there to say goodnight. And he started asking me if he could sleep down there because Kathy had already gone and there was 2 single beds.
Okay.
He proceeded to indicate to me by touching himself down and saying that his dad and him had been touching each other down there.
Jose Menendez was a dictator, kind of like a Castro. And he ruled the roost with tyranny, not with love and affection, with tyranny.
And for me, it was just dark and confusing and total belief that there was danger. You know, it's fight or flight to a degree. It was panic.
The brothers' drastic actions might reflect a psychological response to feeling trapped in a life or death situation, shaped by years of alleged abuse and humiliation that could have left them too ashamed to reveal. The taboos surrounding male victims at the time only deepened their silence, as they feared the consequences of speaking out would bring ridicule or disbelief rather than justice. In their minds, the idea of escaping through violence may have seemed like the only way to escape from an unbearable reality.
Since our last report to you, we have been unable to move closer to agreement on any of the counts.
With the courtroom divided, it soon became a high-profile case receiving extensive media coverage, raising the question, did all the attention influence the verdict?
Tonight, with the Eric Menendez jury deadlocked, a mistrial has been declared in his case.
Had the brothers come from a lower socioeconomic background, their abuse claims might have been taken more seriously, as society often views the wealthy as immune to genuine suffering. This perspective reveals that wealth doesn't shield one from trauma. Instead, their affluence distorted public perception, reducing their abuse claims to the stereotype of greedy rich kids.
In the second trial, Judge Weisberg changed a lot of major evidence rulings and did not allow the family history to come in during the guilt phase of the trial.
The jury in the second trial was given first-degree murder or not guilty. Well, they said they did it. Okay, so it's first-degree murder.
The verdicts are in the retrial of Eric and Lyle Menendez.
This time, a Los Angeles jury went beyond the tearful testimony of brothers Lyle and Eric Menendez and found them guilty of the shotgun murders of their mother and father.
The new evidence came in the form of Roy Rosselló, the overlooked victim of Jose Menendez. In an affidavit, Puerto Rican singer Roy Rosselló from the band Menudo claimed he visited Jose Menendez's home in the early 80s at the age of 15. After drinking a glass of wine, he said he felt he had no control over his body and was then taken to a room where Menendez allegedly assaulted him. Rosselló also alleged Menendez abused him on 2 other occasions, once just before and once after a performance at Radio City Music Hall in New York.
Y al momento me ofrecieron una copa de vino. Yo tenía 13 años. Ricardo no acostumbraba a servir bebidas alcohólicas. También hay ese punto. José Menéndez me dijo, toma este vino, es un vino carísimo, y tómate toda la taza. Después que yo me la tomé, yo me comencé a sentir un cansancio, un peso. Yo no podía más moverme. A partir de ese momento, yo solamente veía cosas como que desenfocadas. Alguien me empujó, alguien me cargó, alguien trying to push me. Y yo caminé un pasillo bien largo. Y había un cuarto. Yo no podía reaccionar porque eso me estaba tomando cuenta de mi cuerpo. Me drogaron. Y después de eso, yo amanecí en el hotel. ¿Cómo yo llegué al hotel? Yo no sé. Pero cuando yo fui al baño, I was bleeding. Y yo estuve una semana con un dolor terrible. Con un dolor que no podía más. No me podía ni mover. Yo me acuerdo que yo tenía que simular que yo no estaba con dolor, pero el dolor estaba tomando cuenta de mi vida. Que era un dolor terrible. Y sangré muchísimo. Y yo le mostré a Carlos, mira Carlos, mi ano está sangrando. Ah, tranquilo. Ya luego se te va a sanar. Ya luego tú estarás listo. Eso fue lo que yo pasé.
I met Roy and he talked to me about it. It was a difficult conversation for him. It was difficult for me to hear, but I thought Roy was credible. It can take years for people to recognize what happened, to have the courage to come forward.
What did you think when you heard about these new claims and evidence?
I mean, for me, I just was happy. Just a burden to be telling what happened to and just have so much doubt in the public air.
In the early 1990s, society's reluctance to recognize male abuse likely influenced how the brothers' defense was perceived. With a more open and understanding view of male abuse victims, their claims might have been considered with greater nuance, potentially impacting public and judicial responses to the case.
My name is Cliff Gardner. I represent Eric and Lyle Menendez. It's not a complex case. It's a simple case. They were abused their whole life.
In the midst of what seemed to be lifelong damnation, a glimmer of hope shone through for Menendez brothers in the form of a rather unique development.
We now have evidence that makes absolutely clear that those boys were molested. And if those boys were, it would have been manslaughter, and they would be out. If the judge finds this evidence credible, I think it is sufficient to give them a new trial.
Cliff Gardner, the current attorney for Lyle and Eric Menendez, argues that the case involved in perfect self-defense, where the brothers genuinely believed they needed to act to save their lives, even if that belief may not appear rational.
They had the defense of imperfect self-defense. And if it's honest but unreasonable, you are culpable of manslaughter, not of murder.
34 years of incarceration. You wonder when will there be a fair review of this? So maybe now.
My hope in the case is that they'll finally walk out of prison.
I try not to be defined by that one night. It's sort of a lifelong journey. Not to be defined by that one night.
In May 2023, Eric and Lyle filed a habeas petition to overturn the murder convictions based on new evidence. On October 3rd, 2020,